Hello and thank you for joining the Tuesday edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm Ayodele Usubakun. Today on the program, Nnamdi Kanu sues Chief Judge and Chief Registrar of the Federal High Court for barring journalists from terrorism trial. And later on the show, federal government stops salaries of university workers as ASUU says no UTAS, no lecture. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Tunde Abaton. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Thank you for staying with us. To effectively tackle rising insecurity bedeviling Nigeria, an all-out war is required. In this direction, 9 men suspected to be kidnappers have been arrested in Ogun State when a combination of policemen, Amotekun Corps, and local hunters, Odua's People Congress, OPC, and local vigilantes stormed their hideouts. The spokesperson of the State Police Command, Abimbola Oyeyemi, said the syndicates used to operate along the Abeokuta-Ayetoro road, where many residents have been kidnapped and made to pay millions as ransom. This is now like becoming a culture. What happened, what started from the Niger Delta when they were agitating for resource control and what have you, that they were kidnapping foreigners and everything. So this snowballed to the southeast. Now it's all over the north. Now it's like a national thing now. Highway robbers hardly operate again. Kidnapping is the most lucrative business. And you trust Nigerians when they start with a business, it becomes like the national anthem to them, the order of the day.
Yes, what gives me joy is the fact that Amotekun and the police have chosen to work together. This is really good news. For those who opposed Amotekun at the time when the governors of the Southwest came up with the idea, I think they can see now that we are reaping the dividends of internal initiative to protect our security, to guarantee our security. The Southwest is the most peaceful, is the most secure geopolitical zone in our country. And right now, the signs are there that this area is better secure than other parts of the country, where cases of kidnapping, where more than 700 cases of kidnapping were recorded in the Northwest, only 36 in just one quarter, more than 740 cases of kidnapping recorded in the Northwest, whereas in the Southwest, only 36 cases were recorded. In fact, Kogi State, just one state in the North Central, recorded more than 50 cases. Just one state. So if the entire Southwest recorded in a quarter less kidnap cases than Kogi recorded over the same period, that's just one state. That should tell you the extent of the security in this area. And we have to praise those governors who took it upon themselves to make Amotekun a reality. And those who opposed it at that time, with this kind of news, that Amotekun and the police went on a raid together. We've seen it happen even in Oyo State. They went together to bust these guys. So it's something that we should all be happy about. The more they work together, because the Amotekun people made up of hunters and OPC volunteers, they understand the terrain better than the police. So the more they work together, the greater the successes that they will record. So that is what gives me joy. I know that things will continue to get better in the Southwest as long as this collaboration is maintained.
Mr. Abaton, when you look at the results, especially we hardly get kidnappers and we hardly go to their den to go and bust them. But even if you arrest 9 at a time, To serve like a deterrent to
like Gide said, I have always believed that if there's synergy, if there's sharing of information and cooperation among the security agencies, much can be done, especially the fact that the southwestern part of Nigeria is cosmopolitan. Most of the towns here are urban in nature. So it is very easy for you to coordinate and move easily, unlike the northern part that you can travel for probably 2 hours without seeing a single building. Between Sango, Ota, and Abeokuta, you see many settlements all over the place. So it makes it easy. So if those 2, 3 organs, 4 organs, police, Amotekun, vigilante hunters can cooperate and share information, I think much can be achieved. Another thing is that because of the level of the deployment of technology, it's coming at a time where me personally I have written off Amotekun in the state because I believe they are only effective in Oyo, Osun, and Ondo states. But with this fit now, it means that much can be achieved. The next thing you have to do now is for parents, for schools, for institutions to make sure that the growing rate of courtesan among our children, because that is another problem that we have here, and courtesan and some other allied criminal activities is reduced to the barest minimum, so that, like he said, we can maintain our peace, and we can also proudly say that let investors come to this part of the country. More so when we have opened the borders now. Now the local borders have been opened. You can expect that there will be more movement. And the more you have more movement, there's likelihood that these hoodlums will want to use that opportunity to also distract attention. So let them continue what they have achieved this week.
Okay, let's quickly go on this break. When we come back, we'll talk more. So, if this is a creation of states and in collaboration with the Southwest region, and people who have been talking about state police, and don't you think if Amotekun that was just established, some months back, and they're getting results here and there, they are making giant strides in Ondo states, we can confirm that, in Osun states, can also confirm that, and if they're getting results, why do you think the leadership of the All Progressive Congress, especially the federal government, will be averse to this idea of state police?
Well, I don't forget that the Southwest is a peculiar area. In the North, for example, a lot of people above my age who witnessed the way the Native Authority police abused their powers would not want to see anything like state police. There are still some of them alive who suffered in the hands of Native Authority police when the NPC ruled Northern Nigeria. It's still that fear that is making some people to say, no, let's not try it. If we allow them to have state police to be abused, people will use it against political opponents. Today, if we interview someone like this old man, Tanko Yakase, is lucky to be alive. For people like that, they will never agree that we should have state police. They won't. So I know that with time we'll get mature and some of these fears will dissipate. But I think the success of Amotekun will eventually rub off on other parts of the country, and they will see the need for it. Already, I know even some northern governors, badly hit by banditry, are saying that, look, there is a need for a policing system outside of this federal policing structure. So people like the governor of Katsina State, we interviewed him, he said here that they are training their own people. In fact, they brought policemen to train volunteers. So that's to tell you that we can't continue along this path. A time will come when it will be so inevitable that we must have this. And I'm happy that in the Southwest, there is something that they can point to. And the fact that the Southwest is the only part of our country that the Americans never tell their people not to come to. Any time they issue travel advisory, they leave out the Southwest. That's for a reason, because the Southwest is safer.
All right. The new government in Anambra State is about a month old, yet the legal fireworks trailing conduct of the governorship election rage on. The Supreme Court has nullified the participation of Andy Uba as a candidate of the All Progressive Congress, APC, in the election. In a judgment, a 5-man panel of the court ruled that the APC breached its guidelines for conduct of primaries. Hence, it failed to conduct a valid primary from which Uba emerged as the party's candidate. The Supreme Court also affirmed that the February 23 judgment of the Court of Appeal, which upheld the 20th of December 2021 judgment of Justice Inyang Ekwo of the Federal High Court in Abuja. Judy, I remember these primaries. I remember most of the stakeholders, George Mogalu, Chris Ngege, within the All Progressive Congress in Anambra State, kicked against these primaries. And the primaries were supervised by Dr. Dapo Abiodun, the governor of Ogun State. And in return, the primary returned over 200,000 votes for Mr. Andy Uba. And it validated Andy Uba as the candidate. Right now, if Andy Uba has gone to court to challenge Governor Soludo, that means if the Supreme Court is saying that he's not even the candidate, that means his petition at the tribunal.
What you should say is, if Andy Uba had won the election, it will have been taken away from him. And when they take it away from him, you will then see some leaders of the APC calling a judge a harlot and all that. You fail to do the right thing. When the Supreme Court or any court for that matter then reminds you of your own guidelines that you breached, that you brushed aside because you made up your mind from the beginning that this was the person who must win. You will now be abusing judges. You'll be calling a judge harlot. The sort of things that should not come out of an adult. You use such unprintable words to describe a judge.
The revered judge.
Who tried to
adjudicate on.
Yes, on your matter in which clearly you had misbehaved. This is not the first time. And they will not learn, no. They won't learn, they won't stop.
Internal democracy within the party.
They won't stop. They will still, you will still see, because some people are so hungry for power that if it is not their own person, that is their own way of showing that they are powerful within the party. If it is not their own person, nobody else must emerge, no matter how popular the person is. The president who was saying the other day that they should not frustrate strong aspirants out of the party, they knew what he was saying, because he knows that it's not in all primaries that the person who deserves to win wins. All the tricks that are used to impose people.
We're getting to that season now.
We are seeing
by May now.
The courts are showing us that, look, these people have they have guidelines. They fail to comply with their guidelines. The Electoral Act stipulations, they fail to comply with. And this is what you get. Andy Uba, as far as the courts are concerned, was not a participant in the primary election. Because you cannot build something on nothing.
Especially to start.
So it's even lucky. And this is a candidate that because of him, many people defected to the APC. Yet the APC couldn't organize a primary election that can stand the test of time. Look at what has happened.
He couldn't even win one local government in the election proper. And he went to courts and over 200,000.
He claimed that he's going that even when he lost the election, he was the first to say that he would
go to courts.
When even your own primary election,
well, he didn't win. And he
all
wasn't,
the courts, from the lower court right to the Supreme Court.
And the PDP candidate is a very, very popular man, a very, very congratulated Chief Soludo. But you are the second runner up in that election. You are the first person.
The product of an invalid
election.
I think the APC have to be reminded that it was because of all these issues that the PDP became so unpopular in 2015 when they could not have internal democracy. when personal ambition has overrisen the tenets of democracy, and it has set aside the rules that the party put pen to paper itself. So the APC cannot continue to behave as if they are not part of Nigeria's history. They are not part of where we are today. So for this kind of judgment, I believe that politicians should stop and rethink in their inordinate ambition to have their way all the time. And party apparatus too has to be respected. And party rules and regulations too have to be respected. This kind of judgment, like he said, if the man had been in default, if he had become the governor of the state, it would have been removed by now.
Yes.
And people will have been shouting. So let us still put our hope in the judiciary. And I want to believe that with the judgment of the Federal High Court last year, December, and this one coming up now, political parties should please give us a better country. Because I always believe that if there's no internal democracy, if parties cannot respect their own law, there's no way they can govern the country very well.
So, Jide, his case at this tribunal, automatically.
He was not a
He
has no locus.
He has no locus.
So he won't show up at any court to say it's challenging Soludo's.
So far, Supreme Court has invalidated this.
The primary election that produced him as candidate of the APC was deemed an illegal primary election. So it was a non-event. He did, in the eye of the law, the primary election didn't take place. And because it didn't take place, he cannot produce a candidate. He cannot produce a winner. This is what we are saying. It's not the first time that this sort of thing will happen. But we also know that they still won't stop. The Nigerian politician is so set in his ways and extremely difficult. It's extremely difficult to get him to change. And the way the parties are structured, there are individuals who imagine themselves to be gods of men. And because they imagine themselves to be gods of men, at all times they believe that their will must prevail. It is what they want that must prevail. But a party does not thrive on just having individuals who are strong. The more people you have, the stronger your party. Because those are people who come out on election day and vote for you. But where you have a situation in which you don't even want the ordinary people to be able to win an election, if it's only the person that you want. Once there's a powerful person from an area, that powerful person makes up his mind that this is the person that he wants to back. And he will tell others that that is the person who will be the next governor. Even if they don't want it, he will either rig the process and make sure that this person becomes the candidate. So I just hope that they will learn their lessons. In Bayelsa, they refused to learn their lesson. They brought the wrong candidate, and when it happened, they started abusing the judges. This is another evidence. Everybody knew at that time that the Anambra edition, that there was no primary. Even we too, we have said it here, that we were sure that the courts would throw away the primaries. And that's what has happened. And you send governors who goes to somewhere and say they are supervising. You are supervising rigging. You are supervising brushing aside of the process. So what are you supervising? Anybody could as well supervise. You can bring a primary school boy to go and supervise. If the outcome will be the same kind of outcome that we are seeing, where the rules and guidelines of the party will be thrown overboard. So what is the supervision that we are talking about?
All right. We'll take this break. When we come back, we'll talk more. It's still Journalist Hangout. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. Wow. Now, the more the trial of the leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, lasts, the more twists are introduced. Kanu has sued the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court, Justice John Toshon, and the Chief Registrar over the new practice on hearing terrorism cases. This followed directive by Justice Toshon that terrorism trials, including the ongoing trial of Kanu, be done secretly, even without journalists, except the judge's rules otherwise. Jide, this is a new trend.
Actually, the Constitution permits the Justice Soho, who is the president of the court, to take this kind of decision if he's convinced that it is in the best interest of the court and even the person on trial, if he's convinced that security could be breached or whatever, in section 36 subsection 4 and 3b of the Constitution, the judge is permitted to take that kind of decision. You know? So, because it says, subsection B says, if any proceedings before a court or such a tribunal, a minister or commissioner satisfies the court that it will not be in the public interest for any matter to be publicly disclosed, the court shall make arrangements for evidence relating to the matter to be heard in private. That is the provision. Now, in this case, it is not Kanu's matter alone. Remember the matter of the so-called sponsors of Boko Haram. They are also due to go on trial. There are some facts that will come out of that particular trial that they will not want the media or the public to be privy to. So perhaps that also played a part. But the Nigerians deserve to witness the trial and see the way the trial went, because we've even seen situations in which lawyers came out of the court, journalists went to interview them, and they gave the wrong interpretation of what transpired.
Several times.
Yes. A lawyer gives
something to suit himself.
Something that suits his own. So remember even the case of the Abia governor, when one of the famous lawyers was even calling you names. And we said on this program that this was the way this matter went. And we were more than vindicated. So sometimes lawyers can mislead the public for their own, for reasons best known to them. So in my view, it is still best for journalists to be allowed to witness this kind of trial, see the way everything is going, and be able to affirm whether fair trial, whether the person got fair trial or not. But again, as I said earlier, nothing precludes the president of the court, Justice Soho, from taking the decision that he has taken. The Constitution talks about that in section 36, subsection 4, that there are conditions that can make a judge decide that, look, this trial must not be held in public because certain information must not filter out. So what Kanu's lawyers believe that for them, the purpose of fair hearing will be best served if people are allowed to cover the trial itself. So they are trying to get an order of the court to set aside the decision of Justice Soho.
Looking at the public interest and looking at the people involved in this trial and everybody, if you see the turnouts in courts where they started the trial and the number of people, the kind of people that came out to, witness the trial of Nnamdi Kanu, and the Southeast, they've even declared any day that is in court, that day should be sit at home. Do you think this is not going to further fuel the distrust on ground?
So I think at this particular point in time, we have to take a closer look at what is defined as the national interest and the public interest. At any point in time, where the public interest or private interest collide with the national interest, everybody knows that the national interest takes precedence. But because of the nature of the trial of Kanu, it has dragged on for so long, and it will appear as if the lawyers, it is in the interest of the lawyers, it is also in the interest of the litigant himself to prolong the trial. If they prolong the trial, the interest of the state, that is the government, will not be served. Because right now, the whole of the Southeast is still under lock and key any day that Kanu is brought to court for trial.
Even the Mondays, they've not been able to rescue the Mondays.
Even the new governor, in spite of the fact that the governor Soludo has tried his possible to ask these people to suspend that thing, it has not been suspended. Even the people themselves, they are not ready to even listen to the governor, or that, in spite of the fact that they voted him into power. So I think that even the judiciary itself has to find a nexus between the national interest and the public interest, especially in specific cases like this that has generated international attention. And looking at the fact that we have to do something to stop the carnage in the Southeast. We have to do something to ensure, to allow people to know that justice is going to be served. If bending the rules means that journalists should be allowed to cover that thing, in order to give them, and like Gide said, we know lawyers in Nigeria, they are there to defend their clients' interests and their own personal professional interests too. And by that, they can mislead the public. So there must be a way in which we have to sort this thing out so that the interest of the public has to be taken into consideration.
You know, if you remember when this trial started, if you remember, there was a list that came out. The DSS accredited TV and newspaper houses. I remember our correspondent Celestina that showed me a copy, as in those. It's not even all media houses that were permitted, but at the point that they started having security challenges, even during the trial, the number of people that want to access the court and everything, so it could go. Do you think security might have come into consideration for this judge to have granted this order?
No, and as I said, it's not Kanu's matter alone that prompted this decision, because they are talking about terrorism, trial of terror suspects and all that. They didn't say Kanu alone. There are other terror suspects that are in the mix. So in this case, yes, on the first day they brought him to court, they almost lost control of things. But these days, it's no longer like that. Some of those scenes, unpleasant scenes that we saw on the first day that he was arraigned, we no longer see those things. The DSS have handled the situation a lot better. But the law says that they can exclude they can exclude individuals apart from the litigant, apart from the person being put on trial. The law permits them to exclude some individuals from witnessing the proceedings. So it is this law that Justice Soho has effectively invoked just to ensure that the trial of Nnamdi Kanu and other people, especially the Boko Haram, so-called Boko Haram sponsors, the media does not have access to it. But I still think that the media needs to be allowed to cover this court proceedings, not to completely put a kind of blanket ban.
I trust it to be challenged, and we know the outcome.
Oh, the case Kanu has challenged, and the interesting thing is Kanu has brought up all kinds of Kanu's lawyers are challenging the federal government at every turn.
Seems to have
he won
all the cases.
He won a case in Abia the other
day. Even the number of charges
over the storming of his father's house. He won that one. We have not appealed. The rate at which things are going, maybe we will not appeal it. Then we also sued them for bringing him from Kenya forcibly. That case is still there. Really? Now we have this one. So it's not simply folding his arm, waiting for judgment to come in this matter. He's also simultaneously suing the federal government on different this thing. And
finally, it appears that the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASUU, and the federal government are poised to a fight to the finish regarding the ongoing strike by lecturers. While the federal government is reported to have stopped salary of university workers by invoking the no pay, no work policy, or no work, no pay policy for the striking unions, ASUU insists that its members will not resume work until government implements the University Transparency and Accountability Solution. UTAS, the union said UTAS created as an alternative to the integrated payroll and personal information system, that is IPPIS, used by the federal government to pay workers in the public sector scored 99.3% in the last round of testing. Jide, federal government want IPPIS for the universities. Simple. And ASUU were given the leeway to go and bring their own software. And they brought their own software, and they even spent money in...
Cost them 30 million.
And it was...
tested.
It was tested, and they're saying...
And pass fit at that time.
93.3.
Pass fit.
I mean 99.3.
Pass fit at that time.
At that time.
Then suddenly, we are hearing that, oh, he didn't pass the test. Why did it take so long to just come and tell us now that it failed at that time? Of course, people will read meanings to the...
And we've explained to our viewers that this
UTAS that came out to say, no, it failed. People will say, oh, it's because ASUU challenged his honorary professorship and all that. So, what Nigerians want to see is a resolution of this matter.
Honestly.
These issues, we should not personalize these issues. It's
degenerating into pettiness.
We should not personalize these issues. Everyone knows that there's a level of flexibility that you need in the university system.
IPPIS might not work in that sector.
No, it will not work. And besides, even those who already subscribe to it, they are complaining that it is not a foolproof system. Some people get paid what they shouldn't be paid. Some people even don't get paid. So those who have IPPIS, some of them are grumbling already. And now the ASUU came up with UTAS. And they are saying, look, this strike, forget most of the demands that we made earlier. Just give us this UTAS and renegotiate the 2009 agreement. If you can do that, we'll go back to work.
Quickly, before we hear from the horse's mouth, I have Dele Ashiru, the chairman of ASUU in Unilag, standing by. Now, this software, they've said, oh, it might not be suitable for the purpose of lecturers, that the IPPIS, that they are not regular civil servants.
Well, I think when we look at the whole situation, it will appear as if there are some people in government who are not interested in moving the nation education forward. It is more of political and personal interest, because if a system can be certified 99.3% okay, then what criteria was it subjected to for the government to now make a U-turn at the 11th hour? After the teachers have stayed at home for 3 months, the students too have been at home for 3 months. It will appear as if we never had a government that is much interested in pushing Nigerian education.
Okay, let's go back to Mr. Dele Ashiru. Dr. Ashiru. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
I can see your top, so I'll say Isoleto to you. You're battle ready. Now, tell us the difference between this IPPIS and your UTAS that you proposed.
Thank you very much for, the efforts at enlightening Nigerians about our ongoing strike. We really appreciate it. IPPIS first is a software platform that was handed over to Nigeria as a conditionality for getting more loans from IMF and World Bank. As I speak with you, the database of IPPIS is in the state of California in the United States of America. And in the event of any dispute between Nigeria and the owners of IPPIS, that case will be settled in a county court in California, which is compromising the sovereignty of Nigeria. Apart from that, IPPIS has been described as a fraud by the latest report of the Auditor General of the Federation. And only recently, the head of the Civil Service of the Federation told Nigerians that they suddenly found 3,000 ghost workers on the federal government payroll, which was what IPPIS was ostensibly touted to do. All of this is a vindication of the position of our union from inception that the IPPIS is not suitable for the Nigerian university system, and that there's nowhere in the world where universities are categorized as ministries, departments, and agencies. Now, like you rightly pointed out, in the studio, government then said, if you say you don't want IPPIS, give us an alternative. And at no cost to government, at huge cost to our union, we assembled the best brains, in the IC tech in Nigerian universities, and they produced UTAS. UTAS has been demonstrated to all agencies of government, including the Accountant General of the Federation and the Minister of Finance. And at all of those demonstrations, they agreed that UTAS is more user-friendly, is more dynamic, is more flexible, is easy to use, is 100% homegrown, local content, and of course, the one that is the bone of contention is the superb transparency.
Why are they opposed to it now? Why then are they opposed to it?
Yeah, the reason why they are opposed to it is they have seen that you cannot do business with UTAS. UTAS is designed in such a way that whatever transaction that is carried out on that platform is recorded for eternity. And in the event of any audit, all you need to do is to recall, who accessed the system, at what time, at what point, what was done. All of these are recorded and can be accessed at any time when there's an audit query.
Because we don't have so much time, I want to ask you this question. I want you to dispel or refuse to dispel the notion as propounded by Dr. Pantami that UTAS indeed failed a test. They failed the test that government put it through. What really happened?
Well, it is not true, and our union had made it public that Pantami lied, to Nigerians by that assertion. Pantami is trying to politicize UTAS because of our principled opposition to the fraud that was perpetrated in Futo by making him a professor, contrary to all the rules of engagement, both in ATBU where Pantami left and in Futo. As I speak with you, I can make available to the anchor the report, the technical report of the NITDA technical team that scored UTAS 99.3%. And of course, this was done with other observing agencies, Income, Salaries and Wages Commission, NUC, etc. So it is a lie. Yes,
Sunday, Dr. Ashiru, my executive producer is telling me to tell you that on Sunday, just let's make it a date on Sunday. We have limited time for this week. On Sunday, we have enough time to trash it out. So make it a date with us on Sunday. Journalist Hangout on Sunday.
We want to talk extensively about this.
Yes, Dr. Dele Ashiru.
This is a golden opportunity. We are very grateful for it.
Okay, thank you. The chairman of ASUU in Unilag, that's Dr. Dele Ashiru.
Well, I think, like I said before, when we are considering something of national importance, personal interest should take the back seat. It appears some people don't know have allowed their personal interest to affect the destiny and future of thousands of Nigerian students.
Today, I want to thank you. And the maestro himself, BKO. Thank you for always being there. And that's our package today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can watch the repeat broadcasts tonight at 11 p.m. And join us on Sunday, Journalist Hangout on Sunday, 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Ayodele Uzubakun. See you tomorrow, and God bless Nigeria.